I've lived 1,000 lives. I've piloted 1,000 souls. I've killed and fought and died just for another role.
This is the Happy Jacks RPG podcast, a roundtable discussion that's a mix of friendship, humor, unbridled enthusiasm, and tabletop RPG topics sent in from around the world.
Just for another role.
Hello! Welcome to Season 36, Episode 20 of the Happy Jacks RPG podcast. My name is Kimmy.
I'm Clara.
And I'm Riley.
And in today's episode, Gurg Murg asks about making game maps, M replies about their gaming group plans, and from the archive 2022, Steve from SoCal asks about what to expect from convention games. If you'd like to contribute a question or story to our show, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com, or you can post in the mailbag channel of the Discord at happyjacks.org/discord. Announcements. Our next game days will be in March. They are free, fun, and anybody can join. They're on the Discord. Join the Discord to vote on which weekend in March we're going to run it, and we will maybe game according to your schedule if you get enough votes. And yeah, it's a great time. A bunch of different games are run. So it's fantastic. We have a fantastic community. Verk does an amazing job of organizing it all. And we love you all. Amazing. OrCon 2026 is coming up February 13th through the 16th at the LAX Hilton. We will be doing our live show at 8 p.m. on Saturday night. Join us for lots of fun and games. We've got on-the-book games. Also, a lot of us go down to Games on Demand and play a whole bunch of different story games and kind of impromptu games. It's just a fantastic weekend. And most of us are there from Saturday morning. Some people show up Friday night, but most of the Happy Jacks crew arrives on Saturday since it's a local con, and then we're there through Sunday or Monday. And yeah, it's just a fantastic, very chill, fun convention.
And maybe this is the con that I finally fight John Wick in a Denny's parking lot.
No promises.
No promises, but maybe.
Yes. Also, please send in questions, stories, and stuff, because we're running a little bit low on content. Better than a few weeks ago, but there's always a big lag after the holidays and the beginning of the year. So send in your things. Content, questions, stories, thoughts, shares, musings. Well, we haven't had a lot of convention stories lately. We had like a few years there where we got tons of convention stories, and we haven't gotten any for a while. So if you've been playing games at conventions...
Oh, we had that really horrific one recently. It was like a horror story for convention.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
But usually we have like a lot more spatterings. We had a few people who... pre-COVID used to do like convention reports. Like they'd go to different cons and be like, hey, this is what we did. This is what we liked.
That's cool.
It was very cool. So if you've been doing that and you would like to write in and talk to us about your favorite local convention or maybe big convention, things like that, let us know. It'll be great. Also, if you want to start, like, we're kind of doing a bit of a meetup at OrCon 2026. There's a bunch of people flying into our little local con. It's a medium con. So we're very excited to meet people.
So, I've been to a couple
person.
local cons recently that it's definitely bigger than those.
Yes,
It was
yes.
bigger than LFG Con.
Yes,
Which was great.
yes.
I love LFG Con. But...
Yeah, super good. It's a very sturdy medium con. All right. Indie Designer of the Month. Our Indie Designer of the Month for January, which is today, the last day of January, is Carrie Linden, they. She's from Starbright Studio, and the chairperson...
Snowbright Studio.
Snowbright Studios.
That's what I said. No.
You said Starbright.
Oh, Snowbright Studio. And the chairperson of the Gamma DEI committee. You can find their stuff at www.starbrightstudio.com.
Did you say it again?
I did. Snowbright. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm doing that. It's Snowbright Studio.
Don't think about elephants. Don't
I
think
think.
about elephants.
Okay. So, what it is my mom is cleaning out her house, and she's dropped off a bunch of Starbright toys from when I was little. So I was looking through that all day. So that's in my brain. I apologize. It's Snowbright Studio. Like,
First snow
.com.
I see tonight.
Snowbrightstudio.com.
Yeah.
Snowbrightstudio.com.
I've gotten it right every other week this month. So today's product is Ink. Ink is a spooky roguelite tabletop RPG where you play as the ghosts of dead characters trying to battle their way out of the spirit world. Every time your party dies, you gain valuable shards, which can help you and your shadow gain new supernatural powers and unlock forgotten memories of your past life. This coffee-fueled game includes rules for procedurally generating campaigns, nautical combat, and a bevy of friendly barista ghosts along the way to sell your invigorating, caffeinated magical elixirs. The hauntingly illustrated core rulebook includes all of the rules that you need to play the game, a map of the spirit world, and details of the islands and fiends of the ink, 6 shadow forms that players can choose from to grow their supernatural abilities, 10 greater fiends to challenge the players at the end of their epic journey, 26 sea creatures and common friends of the ink to challenge players along the way, 75 plus different elixirs and supernatural powers for players to gain, rules for nautical combat, including constructing and upgrading ships, rules for rapidly creating dungeon crawl journeys, and a collection of baristas owned and operated elixir shops to drop into your campaigns. And you get all of that for $14.99 for the digital version at snowbrightstudio.com.
That sounds amazing. It
It's,
sounds like Hades with coffee.
I
like that
know.
a lot. Which
I'm.
makes sense, roguelike, but yeah.
I kept hearing barista. I was like, wait, there's a coffee element. Shit.
Yeah.
No, I'm down now.
Yeah.
I've tried to recreate the roguelite vibe in like games before, and so this feels like right up my alley to do.
Yeah, I feel like a roguelike in a game, like so much of the roguelike element in the video game aspect is that like you die, you come back and you do it again, which is just so video gamey.
Yeah.
And we don't do that in TTRPGs.
It's hard in tabletop, I think, to have as much engagement of like repetitively doing the same tasks over and over again, whereas in a video game, it can be very fun and interesting to do it that way. So.
I guess I played Paranoia. And like, you know, it kind of has like you and your troubleshooters shoot
That's true.
trouble. I don't know. All right.
I'm just totally amused by barista. Like,
Oh no, I love it.
spelled like BOO, like a ghost. It's very cute.
As a
I'm never
person
mad at a pun.
No.
as a person who is like pun deficient, like I just don't know how to make them. Don't give me that look. It's true.
Delightful.
I just can't. I don't do word good. Every time I see a pun, I'm like, and this is delightful, and then it mocks me by being able to do it, which is why we don't love. This is why Riley and I hate each other.
Wait, you hate me? I like
Oh no.
It's okay. I love you.
I just love that in my friend group, like being pun deficient is seen as like sad.
Yeah.
Pun deficient.
Yeah, it's like being a queer who doesn't like astrology. You're like, what are you doing?
Oh my
I don't
gosh.
understand.
I
Yeah.
just did my friend's birth charts, and
Nice.
they were so.
Yeah.
I was like, it actually turns out a therapist without a license is just a psychic. So
Okay.
that's my philosophy on that.
That makes me feel better. Not,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, honestly, that's how I think of tarot. Like, I mostly think of
Yes.
tarot as like a way of just like helping myself reevaluate thoughts and things like.
Yeah. What do you?
I need to do a tarot draw. So I just moved. I need to like do like a new.
Yeah, you
like,
gotta do the whole thing again.
That's kind of what I think of it as, is like the ink blot test or whatever. It makes you like,
Yeah.
oh, let me like examine this thing that wouldn't have been brought up otherwise.
hmm And the most important part of astrology is finding out how whether or not a person aligns with astrology and how they like their mentality around it.
Mhm.
Anyway, mailbag one. Oh no, a segue. Mailbag one. A missive on campaign geography. Oh boy. Ahoy, Captain Kimmy and the Happy Jacks crew. How the heck do you prepare fantasy and or sci-fi maps for campaigns? How much detail do you go into? How do you know how much is enough before starting? I'm sorry, Kimmy, I could see you lowering the volume.
Fine.
I got excited. I find myself continually pulled down rabbit holes of plate tectonics, the Coriolis effect, atmospheric circulation, rain shadows, etc. But I don't actually know much about these things, so it takes a bunch of time for me to come up with maps that, to me, make sense. But when I try to forego them and just come up with something that looks cool, I somehow get the feeling it looks wrong. What do y'all do? Are there tools like that you like to make life easier? Thank you, Gurg Murg. P.S. Traditional P.S. Is Gurg Murg the next Morkborg?
No, I think actually Gurg Murg predates Morkborg. I think they've been writing into the show longer than Morkborg has been a thing.
Oh,
The
gosh.
OG.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the dates. I just feel like I got a sense of Morkborg like more recently than Gurg Murg has been like talking in our community.
All I know is both of them make great food for the Muppets.
They really are fantastic.
My answer, by the way, I might be the worst person to answer this question because the answer was, how do you prepare maps and stuff for campaigns? My answer is I don't. Next question. No, I literally, I know that I'm not good at making maps. I know that drawing is not my specialty. I hate drawing maps. So I just find maps and I use them. There are so many talented people on the internet who make maps, and they do it, and they usually don't charge you that much for them, so you can pay them a little bit of money for their art and their hard work. And, you know, and then you've got maps, and you don't need to make them. And so if you do like to make maps and you don't need to do that, great. For me, I know my skills, and it's not map making. So I just go looking for. I go to my friendly internet browser, and I type in a little search window, and I say map for this reason.
Yeah,
TTRPG.
fantasy map, TTRPG.
Yeah, fancy map, sci-fi map, and then 10 minutes later, I have a map, and I'm good, and then I can go on and live with my rest of my day.
Yeah.
Thinking about puns to make.
So I can't think about puns, so I do think about maps.
Yeah, fair. But this guy already like Gurg Murg already was beyond me when thinking about Coriolis effect and atmospheric. I'm like, cool, you've won. You're there. You got me. You're past me already.
Come here, Gurg Murg. Come here. Like you and me together. We'll talk about this, which is not like I first of all, there are a couple issues like so when coming up with a world with world building even there are a lot of like TikTok-y style like tips and tricks to make maps. So if you're trying to get a broad setting sense and you just like don't know how to draw a squiggle on a line, there's you get a lot of mileage out of the rice method, you know that
Explain.
Like when I sprain my ankle.
yeah, no. So you take
Rest
That's what I thought
ice?
it
Yeah, rest
said.
ice.
Yeah.
so you take
Elevation.
you take your
Compression?
paper.
Compression.
You put paper on table, and then you take a grain of your choosing. You can use flour, but it gets everywhere. And then you spill it on the paper,
Oh,
and then
draw
you
around it.
outline
Yeah,
the rice, and you can get these really cool shapes and like where anything's hidden. Like you can use space. Bumbletrue brings up a second method that I use a lot, which is Google Maps. World of Darkness takes place in our world, with big exception of Changeling in some parts. So if you're using the right, so sorry, I'm gonna not get off topic. So yeah, rice method if you just need to make land masses.
I've seen that with tea.
Yeah, you can do it with tea as well, and like follow the blots and stuff.
The thing I saw about
Why does gossip help you make a map?
I love you so much.
the thing I liked about the tea method is like it was already kind of like earth texture, like earth colored.
That's fair.
So you can like kind of pour it, and then you can like outline it darker, but it's already kind of that color. I don't know.
And then yes,
Bumbletree, that was not your bad. Clark, you did a great thing. Don't feel bad because we both have ADHD and are easily derailed.
yeah, no. If Bunny went by, and I went,
Yeah.
I feel like Google Maps is almost like the happy medium between both of us because to me it's still looking for a map online, but for you it still fits like reality of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
The so like if you're trying to be creative with it, like unfortunately the answer is how much research you want to do. Because I am in a game where one of the places you can visit is a donut. It's like shaped like a donut, and on the outer ring of the donut it's one thing, and on the inner ring it's like hot on the outside, cold on the inside. You either on top of the donut or underneath the donut. It's bad. It's bad design, but it's also
what donuts
great.
are you eating that are hot on the outside and cold on the inside?
A planetary donut called Paradox.
Okay, so you're in your map. You made it sound like an actual donut is also like that, and that's why I was like, that's
No,
not how
no,
donuts
yeah.
work.
Cream filled.
But like if sun donut, like that's that thing. Okay.
Almost like
yeah.
a Dyson sphere.
Yeah,
but,
like a
but just
yeah.
like foil.
Okay.
So then, so like you can do something like that. There's you get a lot of fun mileage by optional getting inebriated and then just like vibing and thinking about stuff. That's how I do it. But like the if then question of like, I wanted to make a society that has camel racing.
Okay.
What is necessary to make a camel happen? And you start getting veracity based on the veracity based on answering those questions, and then the world builds itself around you. So if I'm like, I need camel racing, where do camels live? Yeah. All right, desert. Okay, so this is a desert climate. What makes deserts happen? Well, things like Coriolis effect, things like the rain shadow effect. So now we know that there has to be a mountain range within the distance of this desert, and you can sort of build. It's like that. If you give a mouse a cookie, if you want a camel race, you need a desert to put the camel in, unless these are no longer camels.
That's amazing. Like
That's the inside of my brain for
Whereas
a second.
me, like if I need a desert, I'll be like, oh, what? Like for example, I did a chariot race that was supposed to be in ancient Rome, but I literally took the map from Phantom Menace of the
Also
pod
do
race
that.
track,
Yeah.
and I just used that as my chariot race track. It was
Amazing.
supposed to be like a desert. It was like my Doctor Who RPG, and we did like there was a sci-fi race happening in ancient Rome, and so I was like, okay, well. I'm making a pod race episode. I'm just going to use the pod race map as my and I took the Mesa and that kind of thing.
Yeah, my
I
other
have used
suggestion-
Disneyland as a
Yeah.
map at the time. I did hear one good advice for sci-fi effects. Someone was like, if you're trying to make spaceships and you want to have that like that Nostromo type spaceship where it's a big massive ship, use take a map, like blueprints for malls online, and
That's
make
smart.
that like your ship of like where things are at and stuff like that.
That's cool.
I've done that with Starscape a few times.
That's great.
When I did Starscape, and I was like, I need archipelago, but it's space archipelago, and then I was done.
That was done. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, our spaceship in that game was also a floating seafood restaurant that was in space that was run by a sentient squid. So
Yes, and that was true. I let you guys do that.
yeah.
I really love making my own maps, but I also cannot draw. So I am like queen of clip art. So that's one thing I'll do is I'll find some sort of outline that I like or spill coffee or whatever it is. Most of the time I go find an existing map of a place and just like tweak it and use the outlines from it.
Yeah.
And then I'll use clip art or like I know it's like I don't mean to plug my own thing, but one of the Kickstarter things we got for Decima was map making icons.
Yeah.
You can just print them out and cut them out and glue them down. And I use those a lot because they were my idea and I had Sam draw them all beautifully. So, and there's from a bunch of different things. So I love doing stuff like that. I've also taken like pictures from other places and just used, used a lot of times I do them in Google Slides where I'll just like have them there and I'll draw pictures and just drop them on.
That's
and
fun.
They don't always match style, but it gets the idea across. I have very rarely and often a few times been called out on how unscientific my landforms are.
A wizard did it.
Oh, yeah, it's magic or shut up.
Yeah, it's magic. Like,
I do like that we kind of ran the spectrum here.
Yeah.
Of like you actually did think about like Rain Shadow, and you you were like, I kind of do this halfway thing. I'm like, I don't do shit. I don't do shit about shit. I pick a random person. There's one particular map maker that's like 2-minute tabletop that I have used almost exclusively. If I ever find out anything bad about them, I'm gonna feel really sad because I've used a lot of their maps.
Yeah.
And I very much appreciate them.
Now, I use that for combat maps. If I'm going to use combat maps, I almost always buy.
Yeah.
oh my god.
100%.
I don't, but
Okay.
I'm a monster, remember.
My maps are more like the narrative. Like,
Yeah.
here's how you as
Yes.
players keep track of where you are in the world and have like some sort of orientation and things like that. If there's not one provided, like in One Ring, then I love creating my own. And then if it's actually required and it has to be like measured out for spells and such things, thank you, purchase. I also, there's a bunch of really creators that I love that I cannot think of the names of right now, that have Patreons. So you subscribe to their Patreon.
Yes.
And they just give
literally
you stuff.
Every month you get like 5 amazing maps. And I just have like this massive folder of them that I barely ever use.
I would say my other thing is it's free to look up apartments online, and then you just get yourself a little grid and you fit it in there.
Yeah.
Like
Not
that's always a
unlike
resource.
not unlike the mall thing.
Yeah, not unlike the mall
Yeah.
thing. For the Google, so returning to the Google Maps thing. I'm so sorry I interrupted you.
You're fine. I was agreeing with you. I wasn't like saying anything.
Okay. The returning to the Google Maps thing for games like WoD, for like World of Darkness games, for any kind of modern. I really love, because of who I am as a person, you can do a custom map on Google Maps that you can put your own landmarks on. And so for like the All Night Society, we had a map of Chicago that had like where my character's house was, where like Elysium was held, like all of this stuff. And it's really fun. And then everyone gets to look at it. And then you have a thing. Let me be so clear. I love a map. I don't do good stories. Like, for as much effort as I put into world building in the map, I think I've watched games Riley's GM'd, and I was like, wow, I wish I could do that.
Well, I mean, story is my nerddom. Like, I'm a story nerd. I'm a writer. Like, that's my thing. It's like, so like, I don't care if anything else is good. If the story if the story's not good, then nothing else matters to me. So like, that's my thing. But yeah, 2-minute tabletop, those kind of things. I will say, I'm happy with WotC this year, because for the first time in a long time, they've put out a book that is actually a smorgasbord of great maps. It is the Adventures in Faerun book they put out. Is like one of the best. It's one of the most useful books for a DM, at least my type of DMing, that I've gotten from Wizards proper in a long time, because it basically is like, here is like 5 different regions of the Forgotten Realms. Here's like what's happening with them. Here's like all the cultural things you need to know about them. And here's also a series of adventures you can run in those sections. And then they all have like pretty good maps for them. And then Beetle and Grimm actually made a box that for this time actually has most of the maps you need. Because as much as I love Beetle and Grimm for all the little tchotchkes they have, sometimes I'm like, why didn't you give me a map of this thing? There's a really cool thing. Like there's a thing that's I'm running Eva Ruin Vecna thing right now, and there's a map that is so good, and they didn't put it in the box. And I'm like, this is one of the cool. It's like a shipwreck that's like broken apart on a dead god. And I'm like, how would you not give us the map of the shipwreck on a dead god? So it's in the book. So I actually had to have it like print. I had to have my boss like make me a copy of it so that I could use it with the kids at my table.
Wild.
Because I'm running it at a camp, and I'm just like, come on. But to their credit, the one they did for the Fey Room has almost every map of all these cool things, and I'm like, I'm very excited because I love having a good map. I'm just no good at making them myself.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I went to art school, so I don't do good story or word, as we've established. I do good map and character art.
Yeah, no, I'm the teacher. I'm like, okay, so we're learning about like the life cycle. Here's a deer. That doesn't look like a deer. Are you sure it's not a dog? Are you sure? What? Is it dead already? No. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
I feel like your approach to maps to me is like when someone's like, okay, start drawing the owl, and then step 2, draw the rest of the owl.
The rest of the jaw circle and the rest of the owl.
Yeah.
Yes, it's okay. I'll make you maps with
I
it.
just
Thank
like
you.
I
I'll write some stories.
Thank you.
my
Wait, I think we're making comic books now.
I think we just made a comment.
ta-da.
God, I wish.
And I'm gonna stay over here with my maps where I just draw a square and label it.
I need Kimmy to publish for me.
The thing is, because I run games for kids,
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they're so picky
They are.
about every
That is true.
And also, I have to be careful
Especially
with
with deer.
Yeah.
Deer, they're very picky about.
When have they seen a deer in real life? This is
You
California.
were born in Los Angeles.
I gotta be so careful using pre-made maps with kids too, because if there's anything on the printed map, it's in their story no matter what.
Yeah.
So like, if there's a pile of gold somewhere,
That's
like,
just
okay,
our
when I get
players.
all that gold, I'm like, shit.
That's players, though.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh, look, there's this cute little, like, I put a rabbit there, and they're like, that's our best friend.
Every annoying habit you get from players, times it by 10 when you're playing with kids.
Oh, I love
Because not only is that rabbit my best friend, but like a goblin they've met, or like a dragon they met, or like any monster they go, can I tame it? And a lot of times, I'm like, this is a sentient being who has like hopes and dreams and wishes. You can't tame them. That's a sin. That's like a horrible thing to do to someone. Like,
Yeah.
that's morally wrong.
Yeah.
So, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to. No.
Truly, if I had a nickel for every time I had to tell kids I've worked with, like, that's a war crime.
Yeah.
They're such good problem solvers.
Yeah. Unless you need them to solve a problem, then they will never
Unless
do
you
it.
need, listen, they'll solve a problem. I don't know if it's the problem I needed them to solve, but they'll do it.
No.
I hope that answered that question.
I think so.
I think we got 3. I think the whole
Yeah,
spectrum
3
of answers.
very,
Yeah.
yeah,
Ways to do
hopefully,
it.
yeah.
And it's funny because I do love the stuff like rainfall and stuff like that. Because like we went, Kimmy and I one time on the show, probably about 2 years ago at this point, but we had a long, deep dive into why Skyrim is so magical, and like it was about like the way rain happens, the way effects happen.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
we think about those kind of
yeah.
things.
Sorry, I'm not going to interrupt. Continue. It's not.
No.
It has nothing to do with this.
I want to hear it.
Okay. So, my favorite YouTube channel is called Any Austin. I said the wrong name last week, and I was corrected and I was prompted to go look it up in the Discord because people were like. So Any Austin does these weird videos about video games, but it's nothing that you would think. And his last video of 2025 was this epic survey of how many trees are in Skyrim.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
It's amazing. And I learned like so much about like the appropriate ways to do like scientific tree surveys. And it was also like this fundraiser for Palestine, and it was just this amazing thing. So go, if you love weird random things that are weird but also strangely wholesome, go check out Any Austin. And like he does a video, the one I was talking about last week was living in Cyberpunk 77. And he did a normal week as a normal person. So he found a place that was an apartment, and he found a job, and he just went for like in-game actual, and he would sit and sleep in his apartment. And it ended up being like almost 24 hours of him playing straight for like 7 days
Oh my
in-game.
gosh.
Okay.
It's amazing. And he did one where he was in Grand Theft Auto and seeing if the road signs in Grand Theft Auto met California legal sign codes.
Oh my
That
gosh, it's
so
amazing.
specifically caters to my hyperfixation.
When we're talking about like using LA maps and stuff like that for like VTM, I was gonna say that also like Grand Theft Auto is a really good example because they do a good job of taking like what is basically a city map but just making it slightly smaller because it's for a video game and not quite so many side streets, whatever. So if you need like a good city map, I do find like video games based in cities make really good maps of those cities that are like more accessible for users as opposed to like an actual city map.
I think very famously, Spider-Man, one of the new Spider-Mans during the pandemic, was so accurate to New York that people were just like walking around because they just wanted to be outside.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's like how I was with I played a lot of Assassin's Creed Odyssey during the pandemic. And I
Yeah.
just loved running around in like warm, vibrant, ancient Greece, having lesbian affairs and being
So sexy and like in armor.
and wearing the Wonder Woman costume, basically.
Yeah. I literally,
Yep.
so much in my life.
I know you. Yeah.
I know, you know me.
Yeah.
You know me.
But yeah.
But yeah, no, and video game maps are usually very detailed and put out online for people to play the video game, and they're a great source for all different types of maps. Fantasy City is a great example. So yeah, that's something I hadn't thought of before.
Yeah, and there's a lot of there's so many video games across so many genres.
Yes.
You can probably find the maps you need for like I'm sure there's probably like Starfield.
Yeah.
For space maps and like different planets and stuff like that. And also hey girl, steal from Star Wars because Star Wars has 1,000 little worlds and planets, and you can find so many biomes in Star Wars maps. So
I feel like the stuff for video games too would be great because it would also prioritize the type of location you'd want for an RPG.
yeah.
Like, oh, there's a cantina here, and over here is the spaceport.
I
and
may
it's
have
crazy there's
run
so much-
Thirsty for Lesbians that I use literally the map of Black Spire Outpost from
There you
Disneyland as the
Hell yeah.
I had them at Black Spire Outpost and I used it as the
So
location.
good.
It was Thirsty
I
Lightsaber
love it.
Lesbians. But yeah.
It really gives the like, it's crazy. I was like, I need a map that has enough space for my characters to get into weird, crazy combat with. What other genre do people get into wanton, crazy combat at video games? Like,
Yeah,
it's perfect.
100%.
Yeah.
That is really funny.
Comic books, yeah. Shall we move on?
Yeah, I wonder if you could run ink with the maps from Hades.
I bet you could.
Yeah,
I bet 100% bet you could.
That'd be so good. Like I feel like that's like a match, and like with coffee.
I got Hades 2 on Christmas Day, and it has stolen my soul. It's so hard
Hades
not to play
2.
that game. And I've been moving, and I still like when I have my cut off of like when I'm no longer working with it. I'm like I gotta get some Hades 2 in.
I
Oh,
love
it's
Hades.
so good.
So good.
It's good. Okay.
All right, thank you.
The
All right.
long one.
Good job, Gurg
All right.
Murg.
And this sounds like this is a reply to a different email. Is that what's
Yeah.
happening?
So mailbag number 2.
Okay. Note to read. This is a reply from M who asked what to do with their large, amazing group of players now they've basically conquered the whole regular gaming group thing. Hey, Jackers! First, thank you so much for answering my email. I really appreciate it, and I want to follow up since you asked. Last email, I tried to be brief, but I realized I left out some relevant context and unspoken, and because Riley's on the show now, we're not going to have a brief email in response to it.
No.
This is a bit longer, so I apologize in advance. And yeah, this is 2 pages long, so here we go. Number 1. Looking back, I counted 53 people I played or organized a game in the same room with last month. We have 3 bi-weekly open table games and a lot of ad hoc stuff for one-shots and ongoing campaigns. We generally play in public or in game stores or outside when the weather is nice and the wind is not too bad. A couple of games are played at someone's house, but I like playing in places where people can stop and ask what we're doing, and I can invite them to join.
It's amazing.
That sounds like a cult. All right.
Literally a joke that they made in the first email.
All right.
They were like, I think I might have started a cult.
Nice, love it. 2, I have zero interest in making money in the TTRPG space, aside from possibly covering the cost of the hobby for my friends and me. Well, good, because you won't make money in the TTRPG space. I got news for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that problem. All right. 3, my question about sponsorship was more along the lines of a beer league softball club or nonprofit rec league than a money-making venture. I work in financial services, capital, and a number of our group work at large tech firms, but others are students, work retail, etc. There is not a congruence with respect to income, and I don't, frankly, always know who can pay what. I'd like to have a general fund that we can use to pay for things rather than paying out of pocket and or going to the same few people over and over again. This can get a little weird, and people can start to feel like the only part of a group because they can pay for stuff. I live in a large city, and while I am sure there are plenty of community-oriented local businesses and nonprofits who have a line in their budget for this kind of thing, there is a bit of a needle and haystack problem. I have no problem cold calling, but I have an actual job, haha, and I need to maximize my time. Good for you. And additionally, our needs and ROI are going to be different than a softball team, and I would, frankly, rather get a small grant from a nonprofit than be potentially tied to a single location, spending money at a bar, or have to wear garish t-shirts from Bob's Hardware, etc.
I'd wear the shirt.
I would too. But if I have good leads, I just need to get in the room, and I'll be fine. All right, Glengarry.
Interesting.
All right, Glengarry. All right.
I love this. I love the energy you've come in
Yeah.
with them.
The podcast line was mostly a joke, and I don't watch or want to make any kind of AP. No offense, I'm sure you're great. It's just not my thing. All right.
It's totally fine.
Yeah.
That's so
I know,
valid. We don't need
I
more.
had to read it in that tone of voice, but yeah.
As a person who's currently like another stream is happening right now that I'm also in,
It's okay
we don't
not
need
to make your
competition.
hobby into a show.
Yeah, we don't need
it's totally
competition.
fine.
Yeah.
That's why I only stream live, because that way I'm never in two places at one time.
Yeah, I only do shows as things because I'm in show business already, so I might as well do the thing that I'm loving doing as a show, and it's fine.
This is how I get my regular game.
So there's a continue. Yeah, it's also when you make it part of a show, you're going to do it regularly. All right, number 5. Although the one thing I can't. Okay, this is a continuation of I don't want to make any kind. And I don't watch or want to make any kind of AP, so they don't even watch the shows on this channel.
That's fine.
Which is fine. Although the one thing I can't find enough of on the internet are roundtable panel reviews of non-D&D games and or modules, specifically with at-the-table comparative experience. I would love to see something like this from Happy Jacks. ... 6, and I have wondered if the collective experience of our group actually playing these games in person has value to others. I will usually look through a bunch of reviews of an RPG before I run it, and I have not found a truly great source of criticism from all sides of the table. It's actually not a bad idea. Lots of GMs review games, modules they have actually run their group through in person. Quinn's Quest, Seth Skorkowski, etc. And plenty of people can talk/chat about something they have read between two cairns, etc. Very little exists in the way of discursive reviews with actual play experience. 7, but mostly what to do with these peeps. It feels like there should be a next level to this, something to organize around other than me! LOL. Thanks, M. There's a lot going on there.
There's a lot to unpack.
Okay. So maybe we start. One, very impressive. 53 people is a lot of people. That's like
Wild.
the entire Happy Jack contingent.
We're part of a community like this, actually.
Yeah.
I realized that because of
This seems like it's less formal. I don't know.
So Riley and I are I think you're in this. Is Brass Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh,
So I'm an NPC in it, but we're in a group that has a large kind of West Marches kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And then does come together for these like big live action things.
Our friend
so for
Amy
LARPing.
Fletcher.
No.
So basically, they run like Adam Fletcher has built this like really gorgeous gaming space in their home, and basically it's a West Marches style D&D game where people sign up like once a month, like you might be able to get into the game or not, but there's dozens of people playing it. But like twice a year, we also do a LARP where everyone comes together and can play their characters as LARP characters instead of tabletop characters.
Got it.
So that's kind of, I think,
Yeah.
So,
And so it feels very similar because like I've seen, because I just did someone's D&D finale. Sorry, I have boba in my mouth. I just did someone's D&D finale, and in it I NPC'd.
We're totally professional.
In it I NPC'd as well, but like it's that like, but it was a like buy as rent space at a table at a game store and do it there, and that's kind of what Brass Dragon does as well.
Got it. I was thinking like Story Games LA, where it's more like a contingent of a whole bunch of different people. Some people show up sometimes, some people don't, and it's always at like a communal space.
Sort of open magic gaming for and
they do a lot of like more indie stuff and things like that. So I think there's a lot of like things like that. I think Story Gamers LA is more like an organized like community, and they have like set rules. It's less like a cult and more like a game club. Yeah. That people opt in and have rules and stuff like that. Yeah.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Is like I think what we would describe as a club.
Yeah.
Like which clubs exist and have rules on how you make clubs happen.
Yeah.
They tend to become 501c3s, but like.
Yeah. I think what they're like they kind of make it clear what they're looking for is basically a D&D version of like a
Well,
rec league
they
softball,
are they
cheerleading,
specifically
yeah.
not looking for D&D. Like they
Oh,
say,
it's
TTRPG.
Yeah,
sorry.
TTRPG. Yeah.
My brain, sorry. I've
Yeah.
been playing D&D for like 2 weeks straight. So
Yeah.
last week I ran 5 games in 3 days. So I'm
Yeah.
very and,
Yeah.
and this week I've done 2 today. So yeah, TTRPG, stuff like that. So they're looking to do like almost the way like people will get together to play like bowling leagues, almost like they want like a TTRPG league essentially.
Yeah.
That's
like,
great.
Have sponsors for different teams and stuff like that.
That's actually
I think
really
that's
cool.
cool.
I think that the issue you're running into, like what they're saying with the ROI, is that like with T-shirts and like sponsorships, the reason why people sponsor baseball games, softball teams, is because if everyone wears a shirt, it's advertising for their company.
That's
Yeah.
what they
And,
get
like,
out of it.
Yeah, and that like, and they'll put it in like the programs, and they'll put it all like they'll have things hanging up on fences that say like we sponsor this. So
Yeah.
you have to find a way. If you don't want to do T-shirts, you would have to have like at least like a thing saying like this gaming space sponsored by like they're sponsoring the tables or something like that.
Yeah, some
So,
sort of signage or display.
yeah.
You could. Now I've done this a lot for like cons. Like tablecloths are not great because you end up putting stuff all over the tablecloth. It's hard to see. But I've seen like little signs or stands or things like that. The problem is if you don't have a dedicated space, the number of people who are going to see that signage will fluctuate wildly.
Yeah.
If you're playing in some beautiful outside park area, maybe a ton of people walk by one day. If the next week you're playing in a small gaming store, maybe not as many people see it. So people who sponsor things, as someone who sponsors things for Golden Lasso Games,
Yeah.
they want to know that how many people will see it, how often, like, because that's the point. Like, they also yes, I want to help other people, but part of it is having people see, like, oh, Golden Lasso Games, what I wonder what that is. I'll Google that, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah.
I also think one of the problems with this idea of this model applied to TTRPGs is that if someone's driving by a baseball diamond and people playing softball and they see a company's logo, softball is so ubiquitous with the culture that people don't go, oh wow, Bob's Hardware makes softball happen. But I think if people see a gaming event happening and they don't know enough about gaming themselves, they're going to be like, wait, why does this company make gaming? Like, they're going to think it's like, they're not going to understand, I think, immediately that it's a sponsored event. They're going to think of it as like, the way, like if you saw a game store sponsoring it, it would make sense. Like if you were like, oh, Spellbound Games is sponsoring this park gaming thing, that makes sense. It's an event put on by the gaming store.
Yeah.
But if it's a gaming event being put on by like Al's Delicatessen, you're like, what the fuck is happening? Why is this deli doing like, yeah?
Well, okay, so here's kind of the opposite then, because it's brought up. I live in a large city. I'm sure there's community-oriented local businesses and I like that. I think that's the vibe. Find a bar you really like. They do bar, like Rogue Like Tavern does this, and I know they're oriented towards towards gaming already. But like, a lot of places are looking to become third spaces, and the way you do that is you have your community show up, and so you've got like 53 people. That's butts and seats for a bar.
But they don't want that. It's specifically they don't want to be tied to a single location.
But then you can rotate it. You can do a hey, like local events advertise on Instagram all the time. Like we're very lucky, and we live in a very metropolitan area that has you can just look up what's happening in LA at any given time.
Yeah.
But so don't get tied to a bar. Say we go to a new place, every month or so, and then you can reach out, but you have a history of we went to this cafe last time, and these are the numbers, this is the business that we generated by doing so. If you're bringing 53 people, not even if you're regularly doing it, but if you're already kind of getting around those numbers, I think anyone would be happy to have you, and happy to call it a partnership.
I don't think they're going to provide the problem is if you're looking for a general fund and not a lot of places, you're right, absolutely right. If you're looking for a place that's going to give you a discount or free drinks or something like that, or just the table space at no charge, that kind of works out. It's going to be hard to explain what you need a general fund for a group of gamers, just from, and I'm sure you can do an amazing pitch. I'm sure you can. I'm not saying you can't, but there needs to be a direct correlation with, I give you this and I get this for my company.
That's
Yes,
why I was saying my thing
that's
about
more it.
people not understanding the connection between your
Yes.
sponsorship and your game.
Yes.
Is that people aren't going to go the way I'm having a hard time imagining businesses would be like, oh, I really want to see people that might confuse my customer base more than it would. Whereas unfortunately, because sports are so much more common in the culture, that's not as much of a disconnect for people's brains. They understand if they go to a soccer game that the soccer team is not working for the hardware store, but
Yeah.
they might not get that for a gaming space. I mean, I would like to be in that point for it, but I think also one of the difficulties is like the thing you're describing doesn't have spectators the way that a sporting event does,
Yeah.
which does impact advertising as like a thing. But so I think like you might maybe find a way to make it like where an audience would want to come watch it, which then you're getting into AP territory and like, hey, if you can find a way to make a lot of audience show up and watch your AP, let us know how it works out for you because we'd love to know it too. But like that kind of thing. I do think you said a thing about 501c earlier, and I do wonder if like you can kind of find a way to make it like half a general fund for your game, but also half like you're raising money for like a charity thing or something like that. So like once we cover the cost of our games, now we're also all the rest of the money's going to charity, and then
That's
you might
what
get donations.
Oh, that's a really great idea.
And then you're
I
getting
love
that like marathon model, or like, hey, we played this many games,
yeah.
we did this many things. And, like,
What's kind of being described here also feels a little like making a con. It, like on a very tiny scale.
Yeah.
Where it's like you find a place that you're not locked, like what is it, like OrcCon happens at the same hotel, or has happened at the same hotel because they're locked into a contract, but like there's no reason that like, hey, a bunch of us are going to show up to this space and have games. The general fund thing, I actually have the hardest time like accepting that people wouldn't back you on, because if you're already a community leader and you're already like kind of organizing this, I have to fight to help, like I have to fight my GM for my home game to let us buy him dinner. Like partially because I'm a grad student, have no funds, but like just it, like we should be as a community. My hottest take is I think it's lukewarm at the best. We should be as a community looking at the people who are doing things like running games consistently, because it's always like there's always a GM shortage in my heart.
Yeah.
The people who do that, we should be caring for them and loving them and supporting them as much as we can because they do so much for us.
Yeah.
So like, I think it's really easy. I think it would not be a far stretch to say, hey, sliding scale, pay what you can.
Or even if it's like $1.
Yeah.
Like if you're running 3 games a week and it's like 15, if that's 25 people a week, which it sounds like it's probably more than that because you're running multiple tables, like right there, that's $25 a week.
Yeah.
So you get $100 saved up, like minus a few, like whatever, I don't know how much you're spending, but it can't be like that much, I think, if a lot of it's volunteer and people doing stuff. And then in 2 months you have $200 or $150 if you bought stuff.
And that's such
then,
a thing.
And also, like, there's a concern here on the number 3 thing about, like, there's a few people who work in, like, really well-paying gigs, but not everybody there pays as well. And the people who have the really well-paying gigs, like, don't want to feel like they're only there for their money, or that, like, you're going to the same people over and over again. I think you were talking about your plan of, like, oh, just give $1 or give this, like, give $1 or more, whatever you can. You also can create, like, a pool so that if you, like, say, like, hey, if you can pitch in extra, like, so, like, the company I do podcast for, Maximum Fun, like they used to do for Max Fun Con sometimes, during the Max Fun Drive, they give the option of buying an extra subscription for a random person. Like it's like, and like people who want to subscribe but can't afford
does
it.
this, yeah.
So like something like that. So you could do something like that of like, hey, everyone has to pay $1 or $2 or whatever, which is an affordable thing for everybody. But if you can pay more, it'll go into a pot. And then if there is somebody who just cannot afford that $1 this week for whatever reason, then you have, like, they can take it from that, and it's like a community fund, and it feels like part of it. And that way you're not going to one person over and over again, like, asking for them to turn the money on. You're just saying, like, hey, if you have the money and you wish to put more to it, I guarantee that people doing these kinds of jobs who have that kind of money are going to be, not every single one of them, but people who are doing this kind of jobs but also into this hobby are going to want to pay into this hobby. Like it's one nice, lovely thing that I've seen a lot of people do.
Yeah. All right.
No, just the second part of this email is a Clara like rant can.
Okay.
So I'm like trying to contain myself a little.
Oh, I don't think we need to talk about them not wanting to do APs and stuff.
No.
That makes sense.
That's
don't
not
have
a
to.
bad thing.
Yeah.
But
I'm talking about the point 6.
Yeah, I feel like having a show where people review things. As a TTRPG player, I am interested in that.
Yeah.
As a publisher, I am horrified by that concept.
Really?
Because, I mean, if you're really going to play stuff and stuff, that's great. You're going to have a very clear ethics statement about how you do stuff.
That's all
And
of you.
yeah, I mean, but that's very much not what happens online. I had a person recently do a Starscape review, claimed that, oh, the publisher sent me this. I have no idea who they are. I've never seen them. I didn't know who they were, that they had a channel. Someone linked it to me because it was about my game. And then they proceeded to go through what was the Kickstarter quick start like it was the final published product. And at no point did they mention that it was the Kickstarter quick start rules. And they were like, they had printed it out and like had it printed out at like a printer place and like were showing it. So it kind of looked like it was the final book.
When we wrap, I need names.
Yeah, it was a little bit shocking to see. And they didn't like rip it apart. But there was like some things in there that were like, well, yeah, because it's a fucking quick start. Like it's not in there, like because that's what quick start.
Yeah.
It's 25 pages long. Like it's not the full game. So there's so many people who are not like. I don't think you have to have a journalism degree to like be ethical about the way you do reviews, but you need to have clear statements, and you have to realize that it's going to make people upset sometimes because a lot of us are very small publishers, and one bad review from a very big channel, which maybe you would, or a big outline, like, huh?
Was it a big channel?
No, like thank goodness. I mean, like medium, but it's also one of the few that does reviews of very tiny indie games. So it's like the fish in the pond, in the puddle, like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you play back this scene,
Yeah.
this moment in the VOD later,
Yeah.
you're gonna see
Like
a
horrifying.
manifestation of my actual rage
Yeah.
appear.
Yeah.
I
And
don't condone cyberbullying. I'm gonna
No,
say that
don't.
publicly now.
That's why I'm not saying the name of this person. And the person who sent it to me actually really liked it and thought it was a good review. So it was nice of them. Like it was not a terrible review. But as a publisher, there were parts about it that represented me and my company that bothered me because they weren't accurate. And that's just going to be a thing that happens. And if you are honestly reviewing games you've played, that's amazing. One of the reasons I've never dipped into that, even though we play a lot of games at Happy Jacks, is it's hard to play that many games to keep up content regularly.
So that's the point I was gonna make. So I think all of us have been on Games We Never Play, which did that as a concept. I was literally talking about this yesterday with some friends. I love reviewing things because I like to hear myself talk and I like to hear my own opinions. I love a game review because I it's so hard to just grab a game off the shelf and be like, and I hope this is good.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wish we could do it for our Patreon content.
Oh.
Is like, we'll do a little. Because I love it. The hardest part about Games We Never Play, which was the primary, like, we're going to review a game, was...
Which doesn't exist anymore.
Which doesn't exist anymore.
It's an old
I'm not
ship.
talking
Yeah.
shit.
Games we
I'm
no
like,
longer play.
Yeah.
Games we no longer play. I'm not talking shit. The hardest part, because, like, this was just a logistical thing and why I've never tried to do anything like this again, is that learning a new system every single week to the point that you could play and run it and give it a fair shot is really hard.
Yeah.
And seeing how hard it is to get, even at Happy Jacks, we're pretty good at diversifying our table as far as what games we play are concerned. I have a pitch for a Patreon thing after this then. Like, that's always been really hard. Like, we're pretty good at it, but, like, how many times have we played a PBTA, like this, like, Monster of the Week? How many times have we all played, like, as one of our shows, or, like, Traveler? So and then you've got a review once every 10 weeks, which gets a little messy and weird. So there's, like, that's, logistically, it's really hard to manage because you have to learn a system. And unlike a movie where you watch it the first time and you're like, I could review the movie after my first watch, it might get deeper in the second or third.
Yeah.
Who feels like after a one-shot, they've really got the system down and have explored enough of it to review it?
Never.
Not unless it's a system designed for that.
Yeah.
There have been a few games that I've played, like one-shots of, that are made for that quick play or were quick story games or something like that.
Like
Like,
a one sheet or something.
yeah, something like that. But even for The Queen, which is designed to play in a single session, I feel like I understood the game so much better after playing it 2 or 3 times. Because that's such a vital point that I totally agree with.
Yeah, I would say even Quinn's Quest, like, I've looked at, like, Shut Up and Sit Down is already such a wild amount of work they do. Quinn's Quest, with how it's produced as well as how Quinn does his reviews, is it's so much more detail and so much more thought and beauty. Like, it's very beautiful. But he even says in his Quinn's Quest reviews, well, I don't review things I haven't played for like 2 months at least or something like that. Like, he has an upper amount of games he's played in that system. And I think that's that's so much part of it is just how many how many of us are playing a new system long enough, regularly enough.
It feels like the kind of show that you would have to have a turnaround more akin to the kind you see with like hardcore history or
Video essays
or
in general.
yeah, like I say, where like you don't get a new episode for 6 months because they have to take the time to deep dive into it and like spend the time researching it. So either you'd have to get to the point where you have like so many in the pipeline that you can like then put out older ones and things like that, and then like, but like yeah, it does feel like I agree with you. I was thinking about how many times I've played a game for the first time and I don't really fully understand it. It takes like a few sessions to really get it and like feel like I'm into it. And also like so like you mentioned like movies, like a movie is a finished product, whereas a game is not. Like a game requires more from the audience than. I don't mean to say like game. I mean a game obviously is a finished product published, you know. But I mean like, but a game is a published item with the intent of somebody else taking it and completing it. Like it's like reviewing a choose your own adventure, but like not like all the different threads and be like, well I read one chapter and then I skipped ahead and I died, so this book sucked. Like that's the end of the, like you know like.
And this is a question that we get all the time in video game reviews, because I am famously a shitty video game player, and so I almost never finish games. My eyes completely glaze over when I see any kind of inventory system. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
The most inventory I can interact with is Nancy Drew. So if I was a video game reviewer and do I play my 2 hours and then go, this game sucked because I couldn't figure out how to get past the tutorial?
Yeah.
Or is that as genuine and as good of a review as someone who is going to put in the 40 hours of gameplay or the 400 hours of gameplay and get to the end of Skyrim and then review it?
Yeah.
I didn't play Skyrim.
It's okay. I played enough for both of us.
Okay, good.
Um,
Really bad at video
also, I know
games.
how many trees are in Skyrim.
I'm so excited to find out how
I'm
many
not going to
trees.
tell you because it's a big spoiler. Like it's an important like moment to build to.
I watch a lot of video game content. All of my video game knowledge is bardic.
Yeah, it's very good. I'm not even going to say because like it's so good. Okay, I think, and as someone who designs games, you know, like you put your baby out in the world and people are going to do whatever they do with it. You can put as many you can put as many rules in there as possible, and most people ignore most of them.
Yeah.
So, and like Starscape is a very close to my heart example. It's like getting really close to going out into the world, and it's a game that it even says in the game, this is a slow burn game. Like I've run it one shots a bunch of times, and it's fun. But it's like that slow burn as like those characters get entangled with each other that it really starts to sing. And even if you played it for like 4 sessions, you probably wouldn't get like you'd get a great story, but it really starts to sing like after those characters really, really know each other.
Just like a Star Trek show. Like
Exactly.
It takes a season or 2 for it to like come together.
Exactly.
You can't ask me to put up with 2 seasons of Star Trek to start enjoying it.
But still, yeah. I mean, I'm okay with some things like, especially Star Trek, like really starting to hit on like the 4th episode.
Yeah.
Like that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And there's so many games that are out there like that. And having done, I think I did Witcher for that podcast that we were talking about. And we wing, like I was able to wing it. Like we were all kind of learning at the same time. The GM was learning it like at the same time we were, which makes it even harder.
Yeah.
So I feel like if you were going to do something like that, like as a publisher, I would be interested in having my games played. It would be scary, and I'd really want to see that people did their due diligence with it. And it's okay if you have someone who's never played it before, but like maybe have the GM really know the system well, and have the new person, and have the person who's played it a bunch, and have the person sort of in the middle. Like having like the panel be an assortment of experiences is great, and making sure it's diverse experiences too. That's not just a bunch of like grognard white dudes, some of whom I love dearly, but many of whom the kind of a stereotype of the TTRPG community, many of them would not enjoy Starscape, and many of them have told me so. Thank you for telling me.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Wild. Crazy.
Well, their first question is like, oh, so what's the space combat like? I'm like, very
Vibes.
very vibes. Yeah, very like narratively fun, very simple, and no, there's no maps involved. And they're like, oh,
Again, kind of like Star Trek.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Not by accident.
When you're just like, hey, what if we went 2-dimensional? What if we won the fight by going 3-dimensional in space?
Yes, amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
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 But,
I know it's intentional, but I'm saying like, like that's what you're going after.
Yeah,
You're
and
not going after like dog fights.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other hard thing with review shows is because they're going to be very taste based.
Mhm.
So like there might be people who really love like there's not a lot of groups that have enough range. And even I feel like Happy Jacks, as we've played more and more, we've gotten more kind of unified in our preferred type of game. Not always, but like having a review show, it's really hard for everybody to see the appeal of everything. Is someone who's playing For the Queen or Ink or like gonna be the same person who does a great review of, like something that's much more crunchy, more on the Champions, like trad game side.
The devil does not need an advocate. He could afford a better lawyer than me. However, I will say, when it comes to reviews of games, we have this problem with any kind of review thing.
That is true.
I absolutely hated as a kid because I watched a lot of like Ebert and Robert growing up.
I just feel old as hell because when I was growing up, I was still Siskel and Ebert.
Yeah.
Listen,
It took me a minute. I was like, who? Oh.
listen. And like my entire YouTube consumption started with like video, like movie reviewers. Although now it's kind of turned into the world of video essayists. But like, I used to get so incensed when I'd see a reviewer be like, "I didn't like this animated film because it was for kids." I'm like, and I'm not a kid. And I was like, then why are you watching it? Yeah. But it does. So the thing I had started to discover, especially like when it comes to video game reviews, etc. Like I'm a big fan of. I don't know if you got canceled, so maybe I'm not going to say it. Like the reviewers I've enjoyed, I have had to kind of pick and choose whose opinions I like because they if I know their background based on mine, like Princess Weeks, I really love as a video essayist, and I will stand her on here. I'll go to bat. Like I love her content. I tend to, even if I disagree, we come from a similar background of like moral ethics, etc. So I'm happy to listen to her opinion on something.
Yeah.
I, however, might not watch, I'm not going to name drop anyone I wouldn't, and say like, because I'll listen to it and be like, well, it wasn't for you. So, I mean, that is just the integrity comes from the reviewer kind of being able to say that. Like, it's not a bad or a good game. It's that it wasn't for me. And I think that's super important. Are people going to do that? Are people going to fake that they were given, that the publisher sent them a book and then print it? That's so expensive to print it out and be like, I got it. Stupid.
I don't know. It was wild. You know what you need? You need a rubric.
I have one.
Well, yeah. But I mean, for a game review, that would be so amazing if the channel, if everybody at the table used a rubric and one of the things was this my vibe of game?
Yeah.
So they can honestly be like, I gave it a 1 because I hate space found family stuff. I like killing, or I don't know, like, I don't want to say elves because I suddenly was like, wait, I love elves. I don't want to do that.
I want to
giants.
Tribble.
But I would say that's actually a good comparison because you would hate killing elves. So for you, that is like the antithetical to Starscape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that might be a great place to kind of start. And if you have that many people, maybe you could break it into groups. If you have that many people who are good at writing, or if you want to do a podcast, or if you want to do a video essays or whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
If you had like 4 or 5 rotating groups who are all playing different games and then switch to different games.
Yeah. Because then you could prep a show while somebody else is playing a game, and then they could do a show when they're done with their game, but another show is already airing.
And do like one a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have like a regular host who's like the person who like maybe might not be as knowledgeable of the game, but is like leading the discussion and letting people talk about what their thoughts on the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd
Just
be
know-
crazy if you had a group that did that and was playing games a lot and
Does that work?
had a Slack and a Patreon they needed to fill.
Yeah, just know at some point people are, if it's a fun group for friends, that starts becoming a job.
Yeah.
Even if you're playing games you want to play, because eventually people are like, oh, I'd really love to play, this game again. You're like, well, we played that 2 months ago and we already did a review of it. Well, I missed playing it. I'd really like to, or I'd like to do a long form campaign where I play, I run this same game like troop style for 2 years or something like that. And it's like, okay, that 2 years then becomes one content. Maybe you do a beginning, middle, end, but then it's 3 contents for 2 years. So it's messy. It's a good idea, but it's It's gonna make your fun a job.
Yeah.
And then, yeah. All of us very quietly thinking about our fun jobs.
All right. But yes, thank you for writing in. And I'm so sorry. When you replied again, I lost your email, so it took me a while to find it, but I found it eventually. Thank you, Em. All right.
Then you said you'd do the third one.
I did. I've had a break. Mailbag 3 from the archive 2022. Kimmy et al. I write today with a thought experiment on what reasonable expectations are for a con game, both from a player and from a GM perspective. I specifically picked this one because our con's coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks, okay. I'll frame the question with an example from a few years ago. Back in the before times, I feel like the kids from the Beyond Thunderdome. I'm looking behind us now.
Skybright.
Yeah. Skybright. Yeah. Across Starbright. It's Starbright.
It's Snowbright.
Snowbright.
No, what I was saying was Starbright because of the toy, and it's Snowbright, and it. Okay, Riley.
I
Okay.
have to look up what Starbright is. That's because I'm thinking Starlight.
I'm
from
thinking
The
of
Boys.
Rainbow Bright, and so then I'm like confused who Starbright is.
Starbright was a horse, one of the
okay.
horses in one of the cartoons.
Okay.
So yeah, if we put Starbright magical horse, it'll clear everything up.
I'm sure
Across.
you'll find some creepy stuff on there too. So
Yeah, probably. I'm sure.
turn filters.
Across the count of time, down the long hole into the history books. History back, sorry. I attended a con game and was thrown off because it was wildly not what I was looking for. I signed up for a classic traveler game, hoping for a gritty character creation session where I might die before the game actually started. And I set out in a free trader or scout ship to explore the galaxy. What I got was a Monty Hall point-by high-skill, high-equipment mercenary battle session with tiny miniatures moving 1 inch around across a massive battle map. Whew. Now, in this case, perhaps I didn't properly read or process the game blurb. Cue Kimmy's blurb soundbite. That's an old one. Wow. Okay. I haven't done that in a while. Blurb. Our perhaps expectation was off of what a typical traveler game should be. In any case, I was somewhat disappointed because the game was not what I was looking for. Stepping back from this particular example, as a player, I've historically viewed con games as opportunities to learn and dabble in systems that I don't normally get a chance to play. So I'm often looking for a vanilla or typical session in that game system or setting. Alternatively, they can be fun. Did I misread something again?
No.
Okay, you're making
I
faces.
said same because
Oh.
that is actually my dream.
I'm all paranoid now. I'm like, oh God, am I talking about toys again? Okay. No,
You're
okay.
good.
I'm
We love you.
Okay,
You're
okay.
doing
Did
so
you
good.
find Starbright?
I found a lot of things.
Oh God. Okay.
And apparently, according to James V, Starlight is Rainbow Bright's horse, so it's a whole.
Yeah,
snaky-
it's-
Oh,
Yeah.
that might
Ouroboros
be what.
references.
Yeah, that might be
Yeah.
what I'm thinking of. It was a long time ago. It might be that because I was thinking the horse with the rainbow mane, and that's
Starlight.
Starlight.
Okay.
It's
Star
fine.
Bright, first star I see tonight.
Yes, that's fine.
All right.
It's fine.
Sorry, continue reading the
Oh
email.
my gosh.
Snowbright. It's snowbrightstudio.com. Okay. Anyway, system or setting. Alternatively, they can be fun takes on what if you get used a system in a different way, or an interesting concept like Mission Unbridled. For those, that was a game that Dave and Stork ran at a con many years ago, where they made a party of all bards.
A Barney,
And
if you will.
Yeah, it
I
was-
did it.
You did See? Good job. Yes. So Mission Unbridled was a game they ran that was all bards. That's
Oops.
amazing.
James, please clip that.
All right. I'm very proud. A bardie. I love it.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's a house bardie. Okay.
It's a body. It's a body party.
Yeah.
Revenge party.
Party that ends. All right.
All right. Obviously, there's a place for either or both. And I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yum. That being said, what do you all find yourselves wanting to play and or run at cons? Do you feel any obligation to represent specific games or systems? Do you attempt to advise your games as
Advertise.
advertise? Yeah, sorry.
Star Bright.
Damn it.
Snowbright.
Snowbright.
I'm fine. I've been writing all day. Like I'm so tired. I've been looking at a computer screen literally for like 10 hours
Oh
today.
no.
It's fine. as your games as typical or atypical, or leave it to the players to find out? Do you use con games to learn new games? I have the honor of being your obedient servant, Steve in SoCal.
I have the honor to be your obedient servant, Steve in SoCal. It doesn't quite work, but
It doesn't. It's close enough. That was good. That was a good call.
SoCal.
Okay.
So I think this is actually a really good email to follow up the previous conversation, because here's a person that if they then went and reviewed Traveler and never played Traveler before, they might go, well, this game sucks. It's not what I want it to be at all.
Yeah.
But I push back heavily on vanilla or typical in that system and setting, because like that is what that person brought to that setting. Like I don't know Traveler super duper well, so obviously I know this is different, but it is kind of what the GM's going to make out of it if they're not like completely breaking the game's rules for it. Because like what I would consider, like I'll just use D&D as the example, but what I would consider a D&D like typical game might be different than what like Joe Manganiello would do or Joe Manganiello. That's right. Because like when I hear I remember watching at D&D Live one year a show that was Joe Manganiello playing at the same table with Travis McElroy and Clint McElroy, and you could tell like Joe was not prepared to be at the table with those guys, because one was very wacky and silly and the other guy is like the kind of person who plays the games that are like airbrushed onto like a poster, you know.
Yeah.
They're both 100% playing what D&D is to them.
Yes.
So like it's hard to be like what is vanilla or normal in a system where like it can go. And like I think about like even like Thirsty Sword Lesbians or Monster of the Week, where it's so wildly different what you can do with those particular things that it's really hard for me to look at most games and say what is vanilla or standard. Now, I do think like if this person was saying like I wanted to do this, like if that description, the blurb should probably describe that you're looking for like miniature-based space battles. Yes, so you know you're getting into that when you're going to that game versus like I have definitely sat in on some games that were so nitty-gritty and like grimdark or that were so crunchy that I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know people at this table well enough to sit through. My attention span will not clack onto this game. I'm done. Like I don't want to be here for this. But like, and I've even like sat down last time I was at Orcon, or two Orcons ago actually. I played in 2 Adventurers League games, and one of them, the DM was super on board with all the stuff we were bringing to the table, and the other one, he could not riff with us at all, and he could not handle anything. We came to the table, we had agreed that we were all going to play goblins, and we came to the table as this weird, wacky goblin party, and he did not know how to roleplay with us at all. He just kind of wanted to put his nose down and just keep reading the module, and he could not understand how. And we're all people who like play games for I run games for a living with like everybody at my table. We're all people from my gming company, so we're all people who know what games, and like none of, and like it was so wild how like he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with these people at all.
I would argue we put in our 10,000 hours to a point. I would say like sorry,
It's okay.
Because I fully agree with everything Riley has said on that. Like if I'm gonna go to a con game, my ex and I had this thing because I was like, oh, I'd love to play together at a table because we never played together. Now we're exes. But like. One of the things he was always adamant about was that he wanted to play games with people he didn't know or didn't get to see very often, and then also games he'd never played before. And I tend to agree. Like if I see a game I've never played and I have wanted to play that's like living on my shelf, or like a game designer that I like, I'll sign up immediately for that. I'm kind of you know the story of Siddhartha. I am very privileged. I'm very privileged to be playing on Happy Jacks with people who all kind of agree on the same table culture in a lot of ways. We're very good about negotiating tone, and we're good at talking about negotiating tone.
No, totally. I love that there's the impression that that's organic, and it's not that I just never invite assholes back.
But that's the thing, is like we've curated our community here. We've curated the server. Like the games you're gonna get through Happy Jacks have a very specific. I refer to it sometimes as the ivory tower of gaming.
Oh,
because because now it's gonna get weird. So every once in a while I go to play con games because I want to play with people who aren't in my bubble of wonderful gamers. Because we read these horror stories and I go, that can't be true. What do you mean there are people out in the world who would break tone and then get mad when we fight? Like,
I'm wishing
I'm like, what do you mean?
I'd love.
So for me, there's a little bit of like, a con is the chance to like meet the people. I'm gonna get
to
canceled.
mingle.
The girl in the bubble.
Fully thought about that recently, but like it's a chance for me to like get at a table with people and be like, how are you guys playing these games?
Yeah.
Am I horrified? Sometimes. Like, do I talk about it? But like it is so like the vanilla experience of the typical session is you're also never going to get a typical session of a game at a con. You're playing a 4-hour slot.
Yeah.
If it's Starscape, you're not going to get the same juice in a 4-hour slot that you are from 10 weeks of running it. So it's like lower your expectations. But like I don't know. I love a con because Siddhartha sometimes needs to know what suffering is to enjoy life.
I've slowly made the transition where I used to go to cons and play a bunch of games, and I've transitioned to mostly GMing. So part of that has been me growing in my confidence as a GM, and part of that has now moved on to me designing games and wanting to play them with people, and also try other games to learn and break down the mechanics of them. I think, like Riley was saying, the most important thing a GM does, other than actually run the game, is write that blurb for their game.
Yeah.
You need AO3 tags for these blurbs.
So important. Like tell what it is, especially.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, no, I think it's like that would be amazing. I wish there's a lot of systems that would be so good about that. And a lot of cons now have like age range, like some basics of that. Is that a play test? Things that you can like tag the game in, the system. But there is that blurb text. And if you are going to have specific things, like what is the basic goal of the game going to be? Is it going to be mostly combat? Is it a dungeon crawl, or is it a bardy? One of those things. And
is
I think
it a narrative,
yeah,
like a narrative storytelling experience.
Yeah, it's so important, that part, and that is step one to getting the right people at your table and having a good GMing experience. I have gotten to the point where if there's a very nebulous description, because I do try and go out and play and sign up with GMs that I don't know. I don't sign up for games that don't have a really clear description.
Yeah.
Because it helps avoid those things. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, I have to go to the bathroom and take my purse. Also, the cons are usually small enough that it's very awkward because you see those people again. Like at Gen Con, if you ghost a table, like, you'll never see me again.
Yeah.
I don't know, I could just take my purse and leave a table. That's on me. I've been raised indoors, you see. I don't understand how to be at a con.
I mean, not to get too graphic, but as a lady, it's taking a purse somewhere is a pretty good excuse to go. Like,
That's also
no,
that.
I have to go do a thing. Like,
That's also
like,
that.
Yeah, even as someone who that doesn't function for, somehow it still works for me.
Yeah.
So I feel like just that I
You're
can
a
go.
lady.
I need to go to the bathroom. Like,
You don't have your friend call you and be like, my cat ate my weed. Can you come help me? And then you just leave the table. That's
I think the reason why I'm pushing back too so much mentally, I don't know Steve and SoCal at all or the demographic at all, but whenever I hear someone talk about like typical or normal sessions of TTRPGs, I think that my brain immediately gets defensive that they're talking about like straight white guys playing games together. And I'm not saying this obviously example is not of that, but I do feel like
almost the opposite.
anytime you're coming through of like if this is gonna be a little more kissy or this is gonna be a little more flirty and fun, because I think about like a lot of people who talk about TTRPGs who hate the way that the hobby has been quote unquote taken over by like shippers and stuff like that, because like there's a lot of like the gags of like, oh, you're playing a role-playing game, it's just an excuse for your homies all weekend, like that kind of thing. Some people like, and like but I will say the interesting thing about this email from Steve is that like the comment is, and like saying I'm moving away from this example, but they're like, I either want a very vanilla version of the game or I want a fun take on what if you use it a different way. And I'm like, is that not what the person was doing by saying like, what if I took Traveler and made it into this Monty Hall style, like trading off miniatures game? Like that's what they were doing. It just wasn't a thing you liked. Like they were doing exactly a thing that you say you want to see at a con. They just weren't doing a version of it that you liked, which is why I think going back to the point about blurbs is great. Because if you know this can be more miniature and more like minuscule, but
AO3 tags.
Yeah, and like, you know, who knows? Maybe you would have enjoyed it. Maybe you would have played it for a little longer and maybe you don't know. Like, obviously you didn't in this case, but maybe you would have, and that's what that was for.
Yeah.
So I think maybe like the move is to go into con games not sure if you're trying something different you've never played before, go into it with the open mind of like, maybe this is for me, maybe it's not. Maybe I'll find out by playing it that it's not for me, and then move on. And like there's definitely been plenty of like RPG games that I really like that I sit down at the game and like just particularly that table vibe is not my table vibe. It's not what I want for that table.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. As much as the joke of like Happy Jacks is our little ivory tower, like the excitement for me of going to a con is just being with people who aren't the people I'm always with.
Yeah.
And like kind of the magic of TTRPGs in general is collaborative storytelling. And so even if I'm at it, I've never been at a table that's all white because I'm there. And so I kind of relish being the person at the table who's like, well, let's push some boundaries. That's not what we're doing. But like, let's see what people's storytelling vibes are like, just to get, because we as Happy Jackers, because we're putting out a public project as well, it's important, I think, for anyone to kind of build that empathy of like kind of sitting at a table with someone they don't know and seeing if you can collaborate together. And I think that's really magical.
Yeah. And that's part of the I think that's one of the real things that builds community around TTRPGs is that ability to sit down and with the right tools / rule sets, you and total strangers can make some beautiful, amazing story.
Love it.
And that's one of the most amazing, magical things about it. And yeah, I just, it's so good. And that's one of the reasons I love going to conventions. Also, I love hanging out with my friends and staying up later and being loud when my kid's asleep, because she's, on the other side of town. But I also really like seeing all the different mechanisms for making that happen and playing a bunch of different games and seeing such wildly different rule sets and tools and cards and dice and different dice and, all these, random tables, not random tables, like all these different things that can help make that cool collaboration happen is absolutely fascinating. And seeing it with all the weird random variables of human that come to the table, it's just so interesting too. And it's just fun. And it's one of the things I used to love, like I haven't been to Comic-Con since slightly, but I used to do comic conventions, hardcore, okay, that sounded wrong, but I would go down and for 6 days straight and cosplay every single day. And there's just something cool about being in a space with people, even if you don't know them, that all like the thing you like.
Yeah.
And it's just a vibe. And you just nod. You do the high head, hello, fellow gaming nerd.
Hello,
I'm
fellow.
going to Gallifrey next week, and there's something about when you're dressed even slightly like a doctor and doctor as you walk by. That's always very fun to do, and it just feels like you're home when you're at a con that's around a thing that you love. That's why I especially love cons that are focused on a particular thing and kind of a narrow focus, because there is such a mutual love of things. Whereas some of the bigger, more corporate type cons, it is so many different interests. It's funny. I actually kind of started to fall in love with anime in a way I never had before, because I went to Anime Expo this year and we did a live TTRPG at Anime Expo this year. And it also happened to be a time when a horrible bill had just passed and I didn't really feel like celebrating July 4th this year. So instead I went with my friends. We had a free pass to go the next day because we had done the show. And we just wandered all day and this really dedicated con to this one specific genre, medium or whatever, made me go, oh, maybe I like this more than I think I will. And I got into it because it's so nice to be in this world of everyone's just so happy to be there and so in love with stuff and so focused on this one. Obviously anime is a huge, massive type of thing, but it is also at the same time very specific. And so it was really interesting to be around that kind of love for a while. That's why I'm reading this question about do you feel any obligation to represent a specific game system? My feeling about that, as someone who has run a couple of games at cons, is that I don't feel obligated to run a version of that, because what I'm running at a con is what I love about a game.
Yeah.
So if I don't feel obligated to run anything other than what makes it special and happy for me, and that is my game. I will tell you what they are, and I will be happy to share it with you. But no, I don't feel like I'm not being paid to be representation of. Evil Hat's not paying me to go run Monster of the Week somewhere. I'm running Riley's game. I mean, no, please do. Look, Evil Hat has been very good to Good Chaotic. They don't pay us, but they do give us materials and stuff, and they are very good at sharing our media. But they also don't don't really have any money to pay us with to begin with. But
Yeah.
Also, by the way, someone said they were river song at cons. I have also been river song at cons. I have a great photo of me at WonderCon one year as river song, sitting like on a bench with my legs crossed, and everyone there as a doctor is around me, catering to me. It was the best.
If I cosplay River Song, do I just get to like flirt with with everyone dressed as the doctor?
I mean, would you not do that anyway?
Yeah.
I mean, but then I'd have a more excuse.
Yeah. You can.
All right.
Then they know how to engage back.
Yeah.
I will. I'm gonna throw that on my list.
I interviewed Alex Kingston at my con 2 years ago,
did?
and she took me into the TARDIS with her at the end.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. There is like, do you feel like you need to represent at a certain game or whatever? It's like I'm here to represent. When I go to like OrcCon, I'm there to represent Happy Jacks.
Yeah.
Which means I'm there to be at a table and be good. Be a good, polite gamer, and there's a little bit of an obligation, I think, to be this is gonna get so weirdly deep for why do you go to cons? I am a queer woman. I'm a person of color. I do feel like it is part of my job, especially at a time like this, to have joy in my hobbies and to show up at tables that are traditional, especially if like some people don't get the opportunity to game with women or just like to game with other people who aren't like them.
Yeah.
And so like I do think part of the thing that I'm doing when I represent when I go to a con, when I'm out at fighter practice with my LARP friends, like I'm there to be happy and have fun and also be like, hey, we're gonna keep having fun in a space that at a time where like joy is an act of rebellion right now.
Yeah.
And so
they cannot take our joy from us.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep finding.
We danced in the evenings.
True.
Yeah, guys. Anyway,
Okay.
yeah,
True. All right. I think that's good.
yeah.
Cons are good.
I'm happy to end on fuck ice. That's great.
I'm happy to fuck ice.
Exclamation point, period, nothing else. Except that we do have an outro, but that's the...
Yeah.
Outro. Thank you for joining us for Season 36, Episode 20 of the Happy Jacks RPG Podcast. Please support Carrie Linden, she, they, from Snowbright Studio. Did it, no notes. At snowbrightstudio.com. Again, that's studio, not plural. It's not studios. Snowbright Studio, singular. Thank you to our chat mod, James V, for correcting horse names, and also to our amazing Patreons who gave us ad-free and independent. You can join their amazing ranks at happyjacks.org/Patreon. They really help. They really help balance out the cost of all of this, so it's not all coming out of my teaching salary.
Don't start a podcast. It's expensive.
It's expensive. All right. My name is Kimmy, she, her. You can find the games I make, which we talked about a lot tonight. I usually don't feel great about that, but I think it was a good, talking about reviews and stuff is like a very honest thing to talk about. You can find my games at goldenlassogames.com. You can find me at Golden Lasso Girl or Golden Lasso Games or at happyjacksrpg on mostly Blue Sky, sometimes other places, but usually taking me a few days to notice the notification and reply. And yeah, I'll see you at OrcCon, maybe, if you're there. I'm running a couple games. I'm also going to make games on demand, a whole lot. And I think that's everything I'm supposed to talk. Oh, yeah, go to vote on Game Days Day. Verk, I did it. happyjacks.org/Discord. Go vote on the day. Okay.
I'm Clara. I'm all over the internet as clearly_golden. I am sometimes here. I'm trying to do more advice shows before the Ren Fair season starts, and my Saturday evenings are completely destroyed. The other, actually, another place you can regularly find me is Hallowed Haven Studios, which literally right now probably still running. We have started our first episode of the 7th Sea game I keep referencing in other things. My call to action is if anyone could find John Wick and tell him that I keep challenging him. John Wick, the creator of 7th Sea. I keep challenging him to a fight in...
Do not challenge
I actually...
Keanu Reeves as John Wick to a fight.
Actually, hold on. If someone could find Keanu Reeves, I would also like to meet him in a Denny's parking lot. I will just bap him with a boffer sword once. But
That would be kind of amazing.
I don't know. I've made this joke for so long, I feel like I do kind of have to make good on it. I will be at a bachelorette party that weekend, but I could come back. I'll be in town.
We'll see.
I'll fight John Wick in a Denny's parking lot with a boffer sword, and I think he'd be down.
Yeah, I think.
Anyway, me and my massive influence. So if you Happy Jacks and Hallowed Haven doing 7th Sea, and I think I have a Hunter game coming up after that, which is live. So yeah, I'm on Blue Sky. That's where I post things. And Instagram.
Hey, I'm Riley Silverman. You can find me on, these days I'm mostly on Blue Sky, occasionally on Instagram at Riley Silverman. And you also can, I want to say, I'm very excited that the Horror Not Hate comic that I got my first ever comic installment in has gotten fully funded on Kickstarter. But check it out anyway if you want to add to the stretch goals and stuff like that. But you can look forward to that. That will be raising money for CHIRLA, or however, is it Chirla? The immigration rights group.
Hell yeah. Okay.
And then also Land Illegal. So it is an attempt to make some good art to raise money for good causes during a pretty rough time. So check that out. Otherwise, the Good Chaotic Show is my actual play that I'm on. It's a podcast, only podcast. We do live shows and podcasts. We are currently in a fun little era where we had a break at the end of our first season for the holidays, and we are in the middle of dropping a series of one-shots before we get back into our actual... we are using the Scum and Villainy system to tell a Hope Core game set at the end of the universe, which is very fun. And it's basically it's a group of people time traveling to keep the last star alive in the sky at the end of the universe. And that's the premise of the show. And I play a cat girl named Chase Variant, whose real name is Mary Sue. So that's a lot of trolling happening there. But we took a break after the holidays, and so we just dropped this week the first of a 2-part Girl by Moonlight one shot that is GM by our player Chokate Lei. It's her first time ever GMing a show, so it is a 2-part Girl by Moonlight, very very Steven Universe and Sailor Moon oriented, because that system has like 3 different play sets that are different types of magical girl stories. This is the more on that end of it. It's called the Page Turners, and then we have a 2-part The Witch is Dead one shot that I ran that we're calling Wake Up Dead Witch, and then we also have our other player Michael Nixon, whose name because he's Michael Nixon, he ran a 1-episode honey heist that's called Honeygate. And
So very specific.
That's
Something
so
I love.
good.
yeah, so recommend those are being dropped right now, so you can check those out, and then we'll be back with season 2 of Total Chaos. So that's the Good Chaotic podcast, and I love doing it. It's very fun. We'll be doing the live show at Galley, but that'll probably be around the time this episode drops. So.
All right. Awesome. Well, this week we're going to leave you with a song called Petroleum Swell by our friends at Electrotron. I'm doing so great with talking today. It's the best. I talk for a living and teach math and stuff. But anyway, Electrotron, great band. Have a bunch of members in common with the Dread Crew of Oddwood. Very cool. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Bye.
House of Dreams, I think I did.